You know, there is this thing which it's like a slogan these days. I hear so many people say, I love my job. I don't know how you feel about the job, but imagine how it feels if you have to wake up in the morning and then you are all excited that I am going to begin my day. I'm going to work, and you go to work. Finally, you spend a marvelous day. You come back home. You know, no matter how much you work, I am under the impression that you feel alive. You don't feel exhausted as compared to someone who gets up and is like, another day again. Am I still going to go into that office and do the same old, and all of that? It's all about how you feel. We're talking about you and your relationship with work, which has to do, of course, with your mental wellness with regards to work. It is very important to create that liaison with your work. Some people are completely oblivious when it comes to do with this liaison you need to have with your workplace, because meanwhile, it is very, very paramount. Ladies and gentlemen, there are times in life when we need to feel like we belong where we are, wherever we are, regardless what you're doing. It does not matter, but be happy while doing it. It is for this reason that we're sitting today to think about how to make our work life more enthusiastic and keep our wellness in check. Talk to you in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to Mwafam today here on Dash Television. Of course, I am having a wonderful time today because we're going to be talking about something which pertains to almost everybody who've got something doing, regardless how small, regardless the place you're going to work at, whatever you're doing. We're going to be talking about it during this edition of the program. We're going to be looking at how our mental wellness. Well, let me not talk much about this so that I get to give someone else the chance to talk about it, considering that person does not just talk, but she strolls in with some light into the studio and make it all lively again. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Viviana. Thank you very much for the introduction.
Yeah, you know, with the sun that comes into the studio, you see how bright she is. So yes, she's the sun, and you would see why subsequently, because the other side.
Can you see I'm blushing?
Oh, please blush. You so deserve it.
Thank you so much. Well, today we are talking about elevating mental health in workplace. Well, it's a huge thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Mental health is real. I think so many people do not realize it yet, but thank God we have a specialist here with us. She is a mental health specialist, and her name is Seraphine CHIAMO. You're welcome, Seraphine.
Thank you very much.
It's not your first time.
Of course.
You're welcome again.
She's welcome back home.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me in your platform today. It's not the first time, as you said, and you know, our focus is mental health. So today we'll be talking about it's time to prioritize mental health in the workplace, which is the theme for today's World Mental Health Day that just passed on the 10th. And of course, we know it has to continue till. Yeah, so thanks for having me.
Okay, so it's not just about a day.
Yeah, it's continuous.
Yeah,
but then before we get into mental health, I want to know, how are you doing since the last time we separated and today? How is it?
Oh, I'm doing so very well.
I see.
Because I'm doing what I like to do in my entire life. You know, promoting mental health, advocating for mental health, and caring, you know, for mental health, people with mental health conditions.
And just so you know, if there's one person who is passionate about something she does, this is the person. Wow. She's very passionate about mental health. I envy you somehow, you know. Yes, but the consolation is that we are the same. Yeah, you see the color, you know, the tone and all. Yes.
Okay. See, this is part of the mental health thing. I go through like every day with Bibiana. Well, let me just leave it for another day.
Okay, thank you then. Thank you.
So we are talking about mental health. What are the indicators of mental wellness in a workplace?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. It's true, when we talk about mental health, it's not everyone who knows what it's all about. So when we talk about mental health, it's just a state of mental well-being, It can be emotional, it can be psychological, it can be social, it can be physical, it can be spiritual, that enables you to be able to cope or navigate your stressors and realize your abilities and work well, learn well, and be productive, as well as, you know, contribute to the growth of your community. So coming back to indicators, it means that those things that can influence your emotional, your psychological, they can just be so many. And I think our focus for this year is mental health in the workplace. So I think we should narrow down to talk about, you know, mental health, or the indicators of mental health in the workplace. And as far as that is concerned, I think looking at it from the perspective of the worker, how the worker perceives, you know, different factors in the workplace. Yeah. Those could be, you know, some of the risk factors to destabilize, you know, your mental well-being. Yeah. Yes, and some of them can be your salary. Okay. Your salary is one of the main things. How do you perceive your salary? Let's say with regards to your capabilities, your skills. How does your salary match that? How is your relationship with your administration? How is your relationship with your colleagues? How, for example, do you have so much pressure with work? Does it stress you, like, psychologically, physically? Do you work, you know, extra hours? And even if you work extra hours, how are you appreciated for those extra hours? Are you compensated for the extra work you do? And there are really many. So I think as we, you know, we progress, we are going to mention more of these factors.
Okay, you talked about pressure at workplace. You know, when you want to, first of all, apply for a job and there are some requirements. Yeah. One of those requirements are like, can you handle
pressure?
Yes, can you work under pressure? Can you handle under pressure? And most time people are like, yes. You
want the job.
You want the job. At the end of the day, you find the pressure and you're like, the pressure is too much. Now, whose fault is it? You accepted the job, right?
Yes, it's true. I think, you know, the narratives for mental health is changing, and many people, right from the international level, are changing the way they understand mental health. So as far as pressure is concerned, as time goes on, because efforts are really being galvanized as far as mental health is concerned, from the past years. So as time goes on, we are going to see that even though for these job prescriptions, they talk about you should be able to work under pressure, but that pressure has to have a limit. Because when let's say when the entrepreneur or whosoever or the employer gets to understand that when the workers are under so much pressure, that can have an effect on their mental health as well as their physical health. And with the consequences of all of that, you might have presenteeism, you might have, you know, constant asking for permission, you know, sick leaves and all of that. And it's going to have repercussions on the productivity as well as the profits of the organization. So when we get to understand the health economics of all of that, you know, the work pressure and productivity, you will see that it will be important to limit, you know, the pressure that you put on your workers. Because what's the need for pressure? If you actually plan your activities well, give sufficient time to plan whatsoever activity, there will be no, you know, no need for pressure.
For pressure, which shows that at the end of the day, pressure has to do with pressure at work comes with the workers, and the administration. Maybe if you've programmed yourself properly and you ensure that, okay, this is how things are going to be done, this is done, and then this done, you will not need to have to rush and be working under pressure. So at the end of the day, it boils down again to your organization. It's the way you organize yourself, yes, at work. It culminates. So somehow, from what you're saying, the workers can technically solve that pressure themselves, unless otherwise, unless other kind of circumstances. They can solve that themselves by strategizing better and doing better organization, I would say.
Yeah.
So it's all about organizing yourself better, having better strategy, because apart from work, you have to go home and then meet other kind of pressures.
Yes.
Maybe because here, let's say here in Douala, you come to work under pressure because you have to go to work early, and if in case you meet traffic, you're under pressure because you need to be at work early, and then when you finished work, you have to go back home, you still meet traffic. Like the whole day is all about pressure.
I remember I was watching a movie the other day, and one man complained about the fact that the daughter went late for an appointment, and she was like, I had a car breakdown, and he was like, what does that even mean? You were supposed to have improvised. And she was like, how would I improvise and know that, okay, I foresee that my car is going to break down, and then look for how it's going to be sorted out? And he said, no, you know that you have a rendezvous at midday, so you're supposed to be ready by 10. So if you left the house by 10, you know that there's traffic. So there could easily be traffic. It could hold you up. But now it's better get there earlier than getting there later. So you leave by 10, and then if you have a breakdown, you can be able to sort that out even before the time of the rendezvous, and then the traffic thing comes in. Which I'm using the car breakdown now, like the traffic situation we're talking about. So which means if you know you're having a program, say midday, you know you're leaving maybe far, you leave way before that time, so that if you have traffic on the way, you can be able to sort that.
Still catch up.
Yes.
Now we've talked about indicators of mental things that can cause mental health breakdown in the workplace. We've talked about strategizing or better organization as one of the strategies to handle it. What other strategies can we talk about?
Okay, so if I can come back to that aspect of, pressure. Mental health, from its very definition, you see that it is not the absence of stresses. It becomes a problem when these stresses they become a part of, your whole well-being. Let's say, for example, this aspect of pressure we're talking about. You can have pressure sometimes. Sometimes it's not a big problem.
Not like every day.
Yes, it can just happen that, let's say there's an emergency and people have to, mobilize very fast. But it becomes a problem when it's so recurrent in the workplace, when it becomes an organizational culture that people have to be under pressure. And coping with the stresses at the workplace, I think there's also an aspect of leadership that many leaders, they really don't understand this aspect of relating, the well-being of the employees to the productivity of the company as well as humanity. Because when you care about the well-being of your employee, it's part of humanity, the well-being of everyone. So if employees or if employers, they get to be well-trained on their leadership roles, their management roles, I think they are going to organize their structures or their institutions in such a way that we are going to reduce so many of these factors. So sometimes you get to blame your superior, but the superior doesn't even know or doesn't even have clarity as to how he or she can handle all of these different aspects concerning mental health.
I noticed that you talk a lot about care. When you're talking, I keep hearing you talk about care. I'm under the impression that with regards to mental health, there is the aspect of care, which is the core value. So we need to be able to have that love and care for someone, and maybe the activities surrounding them for mental health to coordinate properly?
Yes. At first we used to associate the mental health to, the very severe forms of conditions like schizophrenia, people moving around the streets. But when you look at the definition, the emotional, psychological, the social, you see that very small things can affect your emotional state, for example. Those very little things. And most often there are these, for example, interpersonal relations with, whosoever is close to you. And if we're talking about mental health in the workplace, then that should be interpersonal relationship in the workplace. And when we talk about interpersonal relationship in the workplace, it's how you understand, let's say, with your co-colleague, how you understand with your boss.
Okay, you want to say like how Linda used to insult me and just go free for it. Okay.
No, sometimes you might rather be having a very cordial relationship by throwing little insults at one another. But we talk about a case where, for example, a coworker says, maybe because the person doesn't like how well you do your job, and that leads to jealousies there. The person goes to, let's say, your superior and say, this person has done this, didn't do this well. Sometimes they just maximize the little errors you did just because they want to tarnish your image. And when that gets back to you, you see that it already creates a tension between you and your
authorities.
And this comes back to care, because if that person actually cared, and you must love a fellow human. You must have empathy. You must have that, all of those values. Especially today, they talk about human right values. Everyone has the right to this, to that. To love, to care, to peace. So if you care about the other person's peace, you wouldn't go to tarnish that person's image. So those are some of the little things that count as far as care is concerned. So now you see how we are living from a very minute aspect in a relationship, just someone going to talk bad about another person,
which is so common, by the way.
Which is so common. And
I'm just about getting there.
Right.
I'm just about getting there because when in a workplace, there's always this thing, this backbiting thing. No matter how you do or how you try, even if you're working in a very big organization where everybody have equal rights, everybody have packages, or they have benefits, work benefits, you still find those kind of people there. Now, what's your own responsibility as a person to ensure or to safeguard your mental health? What should you do? Because there is no way you work somewhere and everybody will like you. Not everybody will love you. That's even if you're doing your job so well, not everybody will love you. How do you do? What are the strategies for you as a person to safeguard your mental health?
Yes. For example, personally, because I've understood how deeply rooted mental health can affect my life, I basically think about it in everything I do. Basically in everything I do. So if you actually understand what having a poor relationship with a co-worker can have on your mental health, or can lead to other issues, because with mental health, it's not just one cause-effect issue. So many factors come into play, because you can have a poor relationship with a co-worker that affects your mood. You go back home, or even anger. Exactly. So it can cause so many other things. But then, if it happens that a co-worker wants to spoil the relationship between you both, you look for the right time to talk to that person, the right place. And when you meet that person, you say, this you said or you did, I didn't appreciate that. And you get the person's response. So at least you've tried to
iron things out.
You've tried to.
If the person's response is that type which rather throws
whatever.
Like whatever, which shows that the person really does not give an ounce to whatever feeling you get at that moment, what can you suggest?
Yes, there are some people who have personality issues. They have, they are just the way they are.
Yeah.
And if you try to reason them out and, they are just not changing, then it's good you give some space. You really do what is necessary. If you must work with that person, make sure it really sticks to the professional aspect, and you try to, stay away from interfering with the person's issues as much as you can, because you have tried, and this person is the way he or she is. And when you stay off, I think it's better. If you don't have common points where you keep on clashing, I think it will help the both of you. And you must not separate with with problems like not talking with your coworker because of this. When you try to iron out and it doesn't go, don't make like there's any issue, but just know how you deal with that person, how you avoid that person.
Now, how do you deal with that person? You're
Because you're
obliged to work.
yes.
You're bound to work. How do you avoid this person that you have to see every day, you have to speak to every day, you have to work with the person every day? How do you do that?
That was my point.
Yes, some people really do exaggerate. You know, like you tell this person what you did is not right, and you really bring out what the person did. There has to be clarity in what this person did that you didn't like. So if it's someone you must deal with, and that in the course of that dealing, you see that clashes are always coming, then you should also talk to another superior in the workplace that I tried ironing out this thing, this other time, and it's just not working. And I think at one moment, there must be someone who can tell this person, this is the workplace, and we have to limit our, personal affairs or our personal characters in order to achieve what we want to achieve for the company's sake. And all of the things social, you cut it off with that person.
No, when you go and it's like reporting to your superior that this person is stubborn or this person is not friendly, they'll call you a snitch.
Yes.
That too plays on your mental health, right? Because when you start calling you that you're a snitch, like
it plays on you a whole lot.
So
when you're doing the right thing, I don't think you should be guilty, because telling your superior, because sometimes some people go and report and they don't want that they should know that they are the ones who said it.
Anonymous reports.
Yes. If you know that what you're doing is the right thing and you've actually spoken to this person, I don't see why anyone should call you names just because you're desperate to solve your problems. But when you go and you see it and you don't want the person to know that you are the one who said it, then I think there is something hidden, because some people actually, like some leaders, they actually use that method, the divide and rule method, where people in the workplace will always come and report, and they don't want that the others should know who went and reported. So it's also something different than somebody who genuinely, because he or she has struggled to solve a particular issue and it's not working, then the person goes and presents it to, the manager. I think it's a way to go. It's worth it.
No, I used to think, or let me say, I think, even though mental health issue affects everybody, but I think women are more concerned, in this regard. Well, maybe because women are more emotional than men, so I think that it affects women more. What's your view about that?
Yes, even in terms of interpersonal relationship, for example, women and I don't know. That's just how they are. Relationships in the workplace. If you carry out a survey, you see that those who really have the most of this tension and all whatnot, and all whatnot, they are women. But again, there are people who do not yet understand this whole concept of mental health, because when you get to understand, sometimes you will not see the need why you shouldn't, or why you should cause pain to another person. But in the course of bringing all this tension, you're also affecting your own self. You're also affecting your own self.
Now, how can women recognize signs of mental issues? Should I put it that way, mental issues? I know there are so many mental issues, but how can a woman identify that I'm having a mental health challenge?
Yes, or that her mental health is at risk. Yes, to know that your mental health is at risk.
She likes using the word challenge. So she used to say it's no challenge, but this time she has a challenge.
Yes. First of all, you understand who you are. When you know who you are, like, okay, you like to dress well, you like to do your hair, you like to take care of your breakfast, and the normal things you do under which you know you're okay. When at one moment you begin to realize, like, I've spent a day without taking my shower. I've spent a day without taking my makeup. I didn't sleep well because of this and that at work and all that. So those small things begin to pop up. And when they begin to pop up, you see that they are lasting, you know, more than a week, 2 weeks. Then you begin to question that all these things, you begin to flash back and say, I must handle this. It shouldn't continue this way. Because let's say you have an issue at work and you are spending so many nights sleepless. It's not good for your mental health. You don't care about, you have just too much to do that you don't care about eating. You don't care about breakfast. You spend the whole day. I hear some women say they had too much work. They had no time to take breakfast, and they found themselves spending the whole day without eating. And many
I've heard of person they forgot to eat. I'm saying this because I think I've heard me say that. Well, that was back in the days of school.
When you say you have forgotten to eat, to me it's a lot of ignorance. Because food is supposed to be like your medicine. It's your food.
But if you're not hungry, then it means if you forget to eat, it means you're not actually hungry.
No, you must not be hungry before you eat. Yes. Yeah. You need to know that you have to take all your meals and let it be balanced in order for your body to function well. Your body cannot function well. You're doing all what you're doing. You're working. You don't take water. Meanwhile, all your metabolic activities to keep you alive, they need water. So you are stressing your system. It's true that we are talking about mental health and we are staying there, but it has direct connection with our physical health. So as you're not taking care of so many things like forgetting to eat, know that you're also breaking down your own system. Many women, you hear them say they're having gastritis.
Yes, I hear
and all that. It's as a result of not taking care of your nutrition. And not taking care of your nutrition is because you have had mental health issues that probably you are not aware of. And those issues have made you to have behavioral risk factors. Yes, behavioral risk factors like a coping mechanism, negative behavioral risk factors, which are like a coping mechanism for all what you're going through, and you end up it's a whole lot of damage. So when you begin to observe some of these things, you have to make sure you handle them as soon as possible. It's not like they are absent. Stresses are a part of life, but you handle your stresses as fast as possible so that you are able to work well, you are able to learn well, you are able to relate well with people. So don't get to work and because you have an issue, you transfer the aggression to everyone. You have to handle what is causing you to behave that way. So in a nutshell, there is this awareness part. Many people are doing things, they don't understand that it's because of other things that are causing them to behave the way they are behaving. And it keeps on prolonging the...
Off air you were talking about water, and I just remember now because you mentioned water. And you said water plays a huge role with our mental health. There's a relationship. There's a relationship between water and mental health. Explain that to us.
Yes, as I was saying, I am a biologist, a physiologist. So we are alive because different activities, so many activities are happening in our body. Even before you talk, many things have happened before you're able to talk. Before you reason, many things have happened before you are able to reason. Without those called the metabolic activities, without those activities, it means that you're dying when those metabolic activities begin to stop. And all of them, they need water. When you don't take water, your body must function. So your body must look for water. And that is why when you go to eat yourself, it's that you have very concentrated, colored urine. Because your body is struggling, because the body self-protects. Naturally, your body tries its best until you can no longer handle before you have physiological consequences, like developing illnesses. So when you get the water, your activities function very well, and you feel fine, you feel energetic, because that water has been used in that process that produces energy. So when you don't do that, you're stressing your system.
So every day when you come into work, you bring me water?
I deliberately do that. I hold my water, my fruits in the morning. I have a place where every morning I get some fruits when I'm going to work. I drink my water, especially like warm water. And it's self-care. It is just in me. Everything I do, I just want to practice.
Yeah, you're just conscious of it.
Very, very conscious. If I'm drinking water, I really understand how important it is for me to take that water. When I'm taking my fruits in the morning, I understand. I don't say I'm spending, let's say, 500 francs every morning to take fruits, because I know, for example, those fruits are important for your enzymes to function well, and those enzymes are involved in your metabolic activities, those activities that are needed to keep you going, to keep you alive. So imagine when you don't eat the fruits, for example, because these fruits, we say that they have vitamins, and these vitamins, they are important for enzymes to function in metabolic activities. So when you don't take the fruits, and your enzymes need these vitamins, which they act like cofactors in order for them to function well, your enzyme, your metabolic activities must happen to keep you alive. So you see that you strain those activities. And when you strain the activities, it might lead to different diseases, different physical diseases. So you see the link between that mental health issue that you're going through, that has made you to forget about taking care of your nutrition, and you deprive your metabolic activities of proper functioning, and that is how it results to physical illnesses. So if you understand that, you wouldn't say you forgot to take water.
Yeah, because you know, when you say somebody forgets to eat, that one can be understandable. Not really forgetting to eat, because there's no way you're hungry and you still forget to eat. But what is more common is when you say, I forgot to drink water. I forgot to drink water. You know, someone can spend a whole day without drinking water.
Yeah, sometimes you even have the water with you.
You have the water with you, but since you're walking, you're doing this, you're going up, you're coming down, you end up forgetting to drink water. But now that you're talking, it means when you have the consciousness of the role water plays in your system, in your metabolism, then you'll be running up and down with a bottle of water.
Like she is doing right now. Running up and down with a bottle of water. I remember when you were talking earlier as well, you mentioned the fact that sometimes it's good to be calm. And you don't. It's not because the other person is lashing out that you also respond in the same fashion. So let me see, how realistic would that scenario be when you're being talked to, like so much so that you find it impossible to manage to subdue yourself and absorb everything and then stay calm still?
Yes, I really like that question, and I see how you're searching to put it in the best way. Yes, when we are talking about these mental health issues, there are I can look at three aspects: the organizational aspect, the aspect that it's the organization's responsibility to handle. There is an aspect that is the individual aspect.
Okay,
that you, the individual, you have to work on. And there is a societal aspect. So you understand, because we said the first thing is to understand what mental health is.
Yeah.
When you understand what mental health is, you will see that it envelopes just everything. So as we are on mental health in the workplace, just imagine that there are all of these factors. They give you too much work to take back. You work at the job site, you have to work back at home, your salary is very little, you know, you are not being appreciated, because sometimes just a thank you or what would I have done without you?
A good job.
It keeps you going, it gives you that extra energy to keep on putting in. So if you are at a job site where there is never, time to relax, always work, and sorry, excuse me, and all that, those are organizational aspects. So when that happens, you have to, if the organization cannot change it, because we advocates, we are targeting, the management, we are targeting individuals. So there are some aspects that is the organization's responsibility to change. And there are
not you as an individual.
Exactly. So what the question you ask, when you have this individual who is there constantly, putting your mental at work and so on and so forth, and the person cannot change, you, the individual, you have to take the responsibility.
Okay.
There are moments that someone can be so crazy and it doesn't affect you because you tell yourself, if I continue to absorb this thing you're saying just because I think it's hurting me or you're doing so bad, then you're as well hurting yourself. So if you know that this person is doing things that are hurting you, and the person, you have tried your best and the person cannot change, then you have to handle it. Just like you have different organizational aspects that are going on that you don't like, then you have to handle these things individually. It means that you have to practice what we call self-care.
Self-care. That's
you have
a new
to resort
one.
to self-care.
Now what's that?
What's the difference with the self-care? I think we've talked about self-care, meaning the taking care of your nutrition, taking care of yourself. Now, self-care, which other self-care are we talking about? Is it going to the massage parlor, having a good massage,
because
or taking
that's
vacations?
What comes first when we hear about self-care, like pamper yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself, self-care, which means Linda has to maybe invite me for a spa date.
Viviana, can you stop talking about me?
When I remind you like this, you will remember that you should.
That I have not done that.
Yes, that you have not done that.
Well, I think we'll get there.
But self-care.
So that's the self-care she's talking about, right?
No, I don't think it's that one which you have to offer me. This is a different one. So there's self-care. How do we explain this?
Self-care. It's self-care. That's you are prioritizing yourself.
You got a me time.
Let's say you ask something concerning women. Women are fond of, they are taking care of everybody. They're taking care of the kids. Your husband is another kid, and you have to take care of
your family, your in-laws,
and everything. So women they are more likely to forget about themselves.
You saw the way Eli looked when he said that men are another baby.
So women,
he's not understanding how that is.
They are likely to forget about themselves. And take note that if you don't take care of your own self, you're going to break down.
Sure. At some point.
Yes. We are not machines that you keep on working and you can't replenish.
This happens so much with women in leadership position, those who have leadership role, like you taking care of the house, your children, your husband, your family, your in-laws. Then you have a position at work where you also have to take care of your team. Now, a woman with a leadership role, should she go about to ensure the well-being, the wellness of her team? Is she supposed to take the team like the family? Like the way you consider your family, are you supposed to consider your team, your employees like your family too?
Of course.
When I talk about family is more deeper, like getting into each and everybody's life. Get into their life and trying to know what is happening in their life. Should a woman in leadership role do that at the workplace?
There is a limit. There is a limit to how much you can get into your employees' private life. Yes, but as women leaders, there's this aspect of super women. Women leaders have to be conscious of the fact that there is no superhuman being. Some people say very strong people can also get tired. So as a woman, you have to understand that handling all of those roles it's not an easy one. And no matter how much you like your job, how much, you know, the skills you have in order to do so many things, you have to understand that there is a limit to which you can actually invest. And when you know those limits, beyond those limits, you're going to fall sick. So a woman has to learn, like all other leaders, they have to learn how to better coordinate, how to dedicate tasks. You know, tasks that others can do, you must not do it on your own.
Don't carry everything and put on your head.
Yes,
like some leaders will do.
Yeah, but you know, you know your workers, you know what they can do, and
you
sometimes
know who can do,
yes, and you know who can do this. And sometimes when you delegate a work, and this person does not do it, and you know it's a very important work, at the end of the day, you find yourself carrying that on your head because it has to be done. And if you allow it like that, it will not be done. So that's another, it's all about, it's leadership. It's you taking up the responsibility to ensure that this task is done. And should we call this a weakness, or we should, because so many people will take it for granted when they find that this person is the way she is.
At the end of the day, she will do it.
After all, she will do it. How should a leader react in such a situation?
Yes, it's not the first time I'm hearing that. Like, as I'm into this mental health issue, I get to meet those managers, those big people, and I easily understand where they are under stress. Like, you really see a boss who is well in his suit and everything, but the boss mentally, it's his mental well-being or her mental well-being is not the best.
Okay.
Because they have to coordinate just so many things. And if it's just coordination, it's even better than to coordinate and you do the work that your employees are supposed to work. Don't say they don't have the skills to do it and you keep on doing it. You can do it because, let's say, you've employed people who cannot do it, but not for too long. If you see that you have no one who can do it, then you have to get someone who can do it. Because if you continue to do it alone and do everything, then you're also going to break down as well. So it boils down to the point that you have to understand that all what you're doing is affecting your mental and your physical well-being. And no matter how much you want to, or you feel like, or you're as energetic as you are to give in to what you want to give in, you have to strategize. You really have to strategize. Don't just work because you feel like working, and because that will actually lead to burnout.
Okay.
There are many people who are in the hospitals because they want to control all the details that are happening, and at the end they are burnt out.
They face the burnout situation, and it takes them to the hospital.
Yes,
you know, last time we had a program here and we're talking about women in institution and the fact that so many people complain that, in fact, women complain that they would rather go to a man for help in an institution than go to another woman, because the women are kind of, they always portray that jealousy when they meet their fellow woman.
Yes.
And the men will be like they want to go to a woman because the woman is more caring and more understanding, more has a listening ear than their fellow men. Now, we are in this is a woman's platform, and we're trying to bring out the fact that mental wellness in a workplace and how women can play a huge role in, let me say, creating a balance between their work and their relationship. Because when you do a kind of survey, you find out that some women carry their issues at home and they bring it at work, and it plays, it kind of destabilizes the way the things need to function. Now, how should a woman manage her work and her house so that to create that wellness, that balance, so that it should not affect other people? Because, as you said, mental health is not just about you and you; it affects everybody.
Most of the times we even talk about mental health in the workplace. Sometimes it's not even the workplace that is causing it.
Okay.
Sometimes you bring all your problems from your home to your work site. So we have to be conscious and we make a clear demarcation. It's true, work-life balance is not an easy task. It's not an easy task, especially for women. But then you can't do just everything alone. And it takes us back to dedication of work. Even right in your home. Most often some of these problems are because the working class women are, they are overwhelmed. They neglect certain things at home that will further bring problems. Or they themselves, they are not in a good mental health state because of the so many things to do left and right. That really strains the relationship back at home. So back at home, you have to have an enabling environment. And an enabling environment is that where you have people who support you. Because you handle it all in the office, you cannot handle it all back at home. So you need to have people.
Maybe you can handle it all back at home, but not all in the office.
But not all in the office.
So you cannot handle
your home is like your terrain.
Yes. So this
it's your own space
of dedicating work. You can dedicate work to the people you live with. Your partner can as well understand that you're working and also assist you and also assist you, in things that in a normal African context or culture a man will not do, but a man can understand that it's not easy doing all of what you're doing and help you in some of those aspects, as well as you dedicate the task to whosoever the house help you have or whosoever relative you're living with, but saying that you can do everything from A to Z all alone and well, it's going to affect your well-being, and you're going to have problems, relationship problems everywhere, because those are actually coping mechanisms for all what you're going through.
Now, we're talking about work-life balance, and you've explained how you can do the strategy, the tips or practical tips that a woman can use to counter some of these challenges at home and at work. Now, what as employers, what should employers do to help a woman at work? Okay, for example, Bibiana, the way she is, what should we as her worker, as her colleagues, what should we do to help her?
I'm really intrigued. I want to find out the solution to this one now.
What are we supposed to do to support her, to help her? Maybe because
if she's very problematic, which of course I'm not.
She's problematic. Bibiana is problematic in her own way, though.
Well, I'll get her on that one afterwards.
But you're eager to hear, right?
Yeah, I'm eager to hear.
So imagine if she says we should take you on vacation. Won't you like it?
Wow, I think that should be the response. That's what I needed a long time ago.
Now tell us, what should colleagues help use, or what should they do to support their fellow worker, to support each other at work, to relieve them of some of their mental health risk factors, as you call it?
Yes, with women, it's very challenging, and that's why we have many people who are advocating for equity, equality with gender. So it's but natural that, for example, a woman at one moment will need to have a maternity leave or breastfeeding session and other gynecological and obstetric issues. Those are just a few examples as far as women are concerned. So we have to understand, because with some employers, when some will actually warn that your people are giving birth, that's the reality on the field. Like when you get pregnant, your employer is like annoyed. And not to talk of when you have to go on maternity leave, especially when you are good at what you do, they wouldn't be happy. Many of them are not happy. I've actually experienced that.
Okay.
Not to me, but I actually hear, a boss warning during an assembly that those women who are, pregnant all the time. To me, it's really not fair. So we have to understand that it's natural that women, they have to go through that naturally, and we welcome that. We encourage them. We give them a supporting environment. You know, workplaces are even supposed to have breastfeeding rooms. Yes, where the kids are taken care of, and you know, the mother can go there, have her break, and take care of the baby. And
I've only seen such in movies.
Yeah, because when you see in the Western world, in the developed world, you see that there are some workplaces where they have a kindergarten session where you can keep your baby or your child, your toddler, you can keep them there while you go to your office and you do some work. During break time, you just come and peep and ensure that they are doing well, they are okay, then you go back to work. So how can we envisage that kind of space here in Africa?
It just feels like so unrealistic here.
No, it's not like it's unrealistic. Even with this mental health we are promoting, it has taken so long. I think it's the past 20 years that we have major landmarks in, and imagine when the world existed and mental health has always been there, but it's just in the past 20 years that the world is actually coming up with major events that target mental health issues. So it is not unrealistic. It is realistic. It's just that there are so many components that need to come into place, because the boss is actually thinking about, you know, productivity. Maybe we have
how profit is coming back,
and you know, taxes, how they are weighing rents, and that. So when the environment, or when the economy, or when the GDP, it's such that everyone feels better. When you go out there today, you see everyone is crying. It's difficult. It's difficult. So when we keep on galvanizing, putting our efforts together, understanding what it takes, what we need, and we take the necessary actions, no matter how small it is, together we are going to, all those efforts will come and will elevate the level for everyone.
This shows that the economy will be very difficult.
Such that the employer will be able to have, you know, recreational activities for the work, because that it's spending time for recreation, and it needs, you know, budget as well.
You've spoken about that, and I remember I had been talking about that earlier. That is there really a liaison between participating in some recreational activities and work that really matters? Like, should workers, do they really need, if they're there to work, and is there really need for such recreational activities for them to relax? To relax and boost. Does it boost productivity at all?
It boosts.
Is that not wasting time and money?
It boosts productivity. The last program I attended, the Africa CDC Mental Health Leadership Program in Ibadan, Nigeria, were given many perspectives on how to promote mental health, like how to get everyone involved and know that mental health is very, very important in all sectors. So many employers, many people don't understand that when you're not mentally okay, you are not very productive. And it's in the very definition of what mental health is. That state of mental well-being that enables you to work well. It means that if you are not in a good mental health state, it affects how you work.
And
how you work, it goes to the financial benefits of the company. Imagine that the little, and it's very, very cost effective, the little money that would have been allocated for leisure activities, for everyone to, you know, boost and produce those happy hormones, because it can be exercise, group exercise, or an excursion to a good site. We have many touristy sites in Cameroon. The company can include in its organizational activities, periodically you have different activities that you can indulge your workers in. During such activities, you know, you get to, you know, forget about the pressure, the stress of work, and all of that. It goes to enable your emotional wellness. And there are some hormones that when you're carrying out those activities, they are being released, like the dopamines, the serotonins. They are commonly called happy hormones.
Happy hormones, yeah, that's very
so during those recreational activities, in an enabling environment, those hormones are secreted. You feel happy, you feel relaxed, you feel rejuvenated, and that is how your productivity increases. And when your productivity increases, it can also be converted into financial benefits for the organization. So if employers understand the link between the mental well-being of workers through, for example, it's just an example, through recreational spaces and activities, how related it is to the financial benefit of the organization. It can actually be calculated. Health economics can actually calculate. Let's say, for example, this company is making, let's say, 10 million a month, and this company has, 10 workers. Let's assume that every worker is contributing the same quota.
Okay.
10 workers, 10 million. It means that your input is bringing 10 million to the company per month. Imagine that you have, let's say, some, anxiety disorders because you have co-worker issues, or you have
family issues,
or you have issues with your with your superiors, or you're not being appreciated, or you're given, or you're putting in too much and nobody cares. Nobody appreciates. They rather give more, because there's also this tendency that you give in. The more you give in to work, the more hardworking you are, the more work
it's expected of you.
The more work they give you, and if they give you more work, there should be some compensation. That compensation can just be appreciation. It can just be awards. It can just be some distinctions, and even financial compensations, of course. So if all of that is happening, you're going to feel okay, and you're going to optimally contribute to your own.
And you won't mind if they give you more work.
To your own 1 million per month. That's what you're contributing, because they have given you that enabling, environment where you can give in your best. So you see how much the company is going to gain if they create that environment. I see that it's very cost effective, because you put in very little.
Yes.
The human is able to give in his or her best for optimal productivity, and of course benefits.
A beautiful transformation.
Then look at, if you, the single person, 1 million per month. If you are not okay. Let's say you are even depressed and you cover up and no one notices, and you're just present at work. Because there's this aspect of presenteeism. Apart from absenteeism, lateness, and those are some of those signs to show that somebody who used to come early no longer comes early. Somebody is always wanting to go to the hospital. Some people are there, but they are not doing anything.
Using the office.
So imagine that you have let's say 80% or 30% or 50% of your employees in that state. Then you can multiply that. You see that if you have 50%, then you are losing 50 million per month. And you multiply that amount per year. So that is how feasible, or that is how the employers can see how much they are losing by not taking care of the mental health of their workers. And it's not only for the organization, it's also for the whole society. Let's say you're not producing, it affects the economy. You yourself, you fall sick, you need to go to the hospital. There are some things that are being subsidized by the government. So you see that you are an added expenditure to the government, to the state, because
you end up being a burden.
Things are not being done.
Not like you're being a burden, but now you're benefiting from what others who are more vulnerable should be benefiting from, and then now you're adding into the list of the vulnerable people. Meanwhile, you're not supposed to be there. Yeah.
So apart from that, we also have to understand that these things we are getting to, really learn them. Many people do not understand that people can be present and they are not producing, and it's because there are issues. So they can also invite professionals you know, to the
Workplace.
Yeah, to the workplace to give like a talk or to stimulate that happy hormone.
That happy hormone.
And just to tell you one thing, that I know of an institution that actually has mental health
Workers. Specialists.
Yes, a doctor at the workplace.
The workers?
But the doctor isn't doing anything.
Okay, it means the doctor too is having problems.
Yes.
No, not like the doctor is having problem, but the organization or the top officials of the organization, they are not getting the best out of that person. Let's say, for example, you have structures, issues with the structures. Let's say just with the chairs. Some people, they sit in their offices all day, and maybe the chair is broken or it's not very comfortable, and no one cares about that. Then you have a mental health doctor for the workplace who is actually there to look at some of those things. And you, the administration, you don't want to replace. You don't want to replace that. You don't want to replace that chair. You don't want to ameliorate that aspect. So you see that professional is there, but because of you, you don't want to do it. You don't.
It's like it makes the professional to kind of give up at the end of the day, because it's like
you subdue the professional finally.
That's it, because the professional is kind of trying to make you understand that this is what is happening. This is the situation. If your workers are not productive the way you want them to be productive, maybe this is the reason. I've spoken to 1 or 2 persons and I found out that this is the reason why they're not being productive. And you, as the administrator, you don't want to consider the recommendation that this professional is giving you. The man will the man or the woman will just be like, okay, let's just be like that. And I think I understand this, because this is something that so many administrators, so many employers, they don't understand, or maybe they have not yet understood that mental health is real in the workplace. Mental health issue is real, because if you as a worker, I think they are quick at sacking somebody than to ask the person, what is the issue? What is the problem? Why are you not productive? What do you think can be put in place for you to become more productive? Maybe these are some of the reasons, or these are some of the things that the employer should consider.
Yes, that awareness is key in many of the meetings that are taking place now around the world, raising awareness, especially in Africa. So when we get to understand how this can make us, how handling the mental health aspect, especially from the public health perspective, that's the perspective of promotion, prevention, when we get to understand how important it is to handle that aspect for our own emergence, then that is when we'll start making strides towards achieving that.
Now, what will you advise a company do to optimize or to boost their workers' productivity, especially when it has to do with mental health? A company that is complaining that they don't have productive workers, or these workers are not bringing in what they expect, what will you have them do?
One thing we are recommending now is that many of these things never used to happen because we're not understanding how it is affecting the productivity of the company. So now that we understand that, for example, you employ someone and the person is that you can sack the person the next day. There's just no security. How would that person even give in his or her best? So when we understand that these things are actually affecting how our companies are growing, then we'll begin to take strategies in order to ameliorate all of that. And one of the strategies is actually getting a professional who will handle our mental health in the workplace. It can be periodical, monthly, it can be in 3 months, it can be once a year. It's already something. And when the person comes, they will actually evaluate what is happening and put some rules or some indicators in place that next time they can use to check whether it's actually being implemented. Because having the rules in place is one thing and implementing is another thing. We listed some factors from the beginning. We talk about, for example, salaries of workers. You employ someone and you're already paying the person. The pay package is not matching that person's qualification or the person's skills. Some people don't even pay regularly. You pay your workers after 8 months. So just the method of payment is not satisfactory. So these are some of the factors. If you employ someone like that with A, B, C, D reasons, as time goes on and you are encouraging the person, you are appreciating the person, and the company is making some progress, you can be adding some little amounts to that person's...
Giving some token to motivate.
Yes. And when you understand, that is how you begin to address the issues little by little. It's not about addressing all the issues at once, but first of all, understanding and having the will to make little change.
To show concern.
Yes, to show concern to your fellow human. When the professional has enabled you to see how much you're losing because you are not attending to all these factors, then you need personal will to see how little by little you can put in actions in order to ameliorate different aspects. If you are that kind of boss that is passing and everyone is panicking, I mean, if you never knew or if it was your personality, a professional comes in and gets what the workers are saying and brings that up as a point to work, and then you have to try to work on that personality in order to create more friendly
environment,
more friendly atmosphere.
Yeah. So you equally talk about recreation activities, and I think recreation activity is nice because people like to relax. Yes. For instance, if we have we work from Monday to Sunday, yes, and then on a Sunday, you say, okay, everybody going out let's have some chill, let's relax a little bit. And you know, there's always this perspective about Monday, going back to work on Monday. Everybody's like, oh, Monday again, Monday has come again. We even created this Monday thing.
Which makes people end up liking Friday a lot.
Yes, and you see, when somebody is coming to work on Monday, the person there's already this spirit, this downcasted spirit you're feeling. But then, if there's a recreation activity that was done on Sunday, I think so many people will be happy to come to work on Monday because we want to be like catch back and to do like gist what happened. This thing happened. You see, this one happened. I think it will kind of boost everybody's morale. Even though we are gisting, we are working.
Yes, when the environment is an enabling one that tries to put all those factors in place, that's how people will be happy. And I don't think you will not be happy to be at work. I just said because I do teach. I teach biology that I like so much.
Okay.
And
multitasking.
Mental health is really my passion. So when I'm even sacrificing for it, I don't feel it. So at any one point, I'm ready to. No, but I strategize. I strategize and make sure I practice self-care. But just liking what you do will make you to like to go to work. When the environment is enabling, you will like to go to work. When there is time to relax, you will like to go to work. When the workplace is such that you are not under pressure all the time, because that's where the problem lies. We can have pressure at one moment because there was an emergency, there were some activities, but then after it's supposed to stop and people are supposed to work normally, regular hours. And when that happens, why shouldn't you be happy to practice some self-care and go to work because you're going to meet your colleagues and people had some nice time during the recreation, and maybe it could be a sport walk or some shows somewhere or in the natural side somewhere. Everyone will be happy to do what they are doing.
Because you know that at the end of the day, you kind of, to me, it will make you feel like you feel appreciated, like they're seeing what you're doing. And if they see what you're doing and appreciating it, it means at the end of the day, you feel like doing more. Because who doesn't want to be appreciated?
To be pampered.
Yeah, pampered.
Because it's a way of pampering you anyways, because if they show you appreciation, you feel like, okay, they recognize what I'm doing.
Yes.
Even if it's not like, it's not financially. Just
from what she said, it shows that it must
not necessarily be financial. Just some kind of award or just anything. This is an award, or they used to have this best worker thing, the best staff of the staff of the month, staff of the year. Yes, I think some of those things could boost people's mental health and maybe enable a very beautiful and enjoyable working environment.
And even the best staffs and all that, there needs to be transparency. Because in some workplaces, some people don't work, but they still receive those. And it goes further to spoil the whole atmosphere in the organization.
That's true.
It kills some people's spirit.
Especially those who work.
Yes, those who work. So if there's transparency in doing that, it will really help the organization and will, steer other people to put in their best.
Okay, there's this thing of women supporting women, sisterhood thing. How should women advocate for a better working environment or an amelioration of their mental health in a workplace?
Women advocate. One thing is that women have to, first of all, know themselves as an individual. You have to know who you are. You have to know your capabilities. You need to have self-esteem. So there's a lot of self-work to do first, because it's easier sometimes to complain about the other person. But when you know who you are, when you know all of those things, then you're going to know how to approach the other person or how to advocate for whatsoever. I once saw on social media concerning the elections in the United States going on, and a woman is already very pessimistic about a woman winning. And I was like, but why not? If you don't have confidence in yourself, how will you even, stand for elections? And if you're for elections and another fellow woman doesn't have confidence in herself,
or you don't trust the fellow woman that she will be able to do the job well.
Yes, how will you support with your votes? So it starts from you knowing who you are. You know your weaknesses, you know your strengths, and that will enable you to advocate for your position, to position yourself wherever you want to position. Because even this mental health thing we are talking about, you meet some women who are actually going through things like gender-based violence, and there is more work to talk to them about self-awareness even than the relationship itself. Because some of them, they push themselves. Like yesterday, I was called up for a gender-based issue.
Okay.
So sometimes when you go GTV, you see that the woman doesn't value herself, and she pushes herself the wrong way, seeking that another person should value you, and at the end, it's the wrong decision. So when you know who you are, you will know the right places to go to. Even in the way you talk, you're going to, talk with some confidence, ask with some confidence, defend with confidence. It starts from us.
So does it mean that as a woman, you're applying for a job and you eventually get this job? Because already there is this issue of equality in the workplace where the woman wants to be treated the same way as the man. And now as a woman, there are some special things, or let me say, there are things that makes you a woman and it should be respected. For example, we all know that there are some people when they have their menstrual cycle, when they have their when they are menstruating, some people have they feel pain.
Yes.
And maybe for some it could be for the whole period. For some, maybe the first 2 days. Should you expect as a woman that when you're going through this, your employer should understand that this is what I'm going through. This is my health status. And when my period start, I need like 2 days off because this is the condition I'm going through at that period.
Yes, there's a difference between equality and equity. For example, equality means that we have equal rights, you know, to some professions. Just an example. And there is equity to understand that naturally the woman is vulnerable. The fact that you're vulnerable doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you're not equal to a man as far as, for example, opportunities are concerned. So the boss is supposed to understand all of that. And this takes us to the gynecobstetric issues.
Okay.
The boss is supposed to understand, because you are a woman, it's but natural that these things will happen. And with equity, they have to give you the chance to go through that peacefully.
Now, if the boss understands that this is what you have to go through and then they give you 2 days off, will you understand that since you have 2 days off, you have to replace that 2 days off? Let's say Monday, Tuesday, you're not at work, and maybe on Saturday and Sunday you don't work, but since you were not there on Monday and Tuesday, you have to replace that Monday or Tuesday with Saturday and Sunday. Will you, as the employee, understand this?
I think the employee should understand.
Okay.
Because if they give you 2 days off for that, and you must cover the 2 days.
Yes.
While other people are resting, you must cover those 2 days.
And now that's where we come in. That's now we come in when the woman will be like, "This is not fair. It's my metabolism. It's not like I'm the one who wants it this way, but my metabolism, I have to. It's my health condition. So I should not be asked to work 2 days again because I was not fine that period. Why should I work? It means that you are not considering me as a woman." That kind of excuses.
It's really not fair.
Is it not fair that you have to cover up that 2 days, or is it not fair that you're not, they're asking you to cover the 2 days and you don't want to cover it?
No, you must not cover the 2 days if you are being forced to cover those 2 days. If it's that it's a task that you are the one who is supposed to do the task and no other person can do it, I think it's understandable that you can manage to go extra time in order to cover that up. But if you are being obliged because it's a task that another person or other people can do, and they leave it there standing, that
waiting for you.
I think it's not fair.
But you have to do your job.
It's not fair.
I think because the reason why I'm asking this question is because most employers, they'll have issues employing women in their organization because probably they feel like, as you said, not everybody will want to employ a woman because it will be like women always going on leave, maternity leave, always having this issue and the other family thing and that. And that's why you might see some organizations, they have less women than men. They have more men and then less women in their company because they feel like when this woman will go on break, there will be a gap and they want to employ the only men. Now, as a woman advocating for equity or gender equality, as they always say it, will you allow yourself, or are you ready to take up the risk that if you're having 2 days off because of your metabolism, are you ready to cover up that 2 days off? At the end of the day, you are employed to do a job. Your employer should not suffer because of your metabolism. It's not as if, I don't know.
To me, it's not fair because what you're going through, it's not your making.
Yes.
And with equity, that has to be respected. So if you're given 2 days off for those natural reasons, then there is no reason why your employer should oblige you to cover those. It's just not fair. I think it's not respect for human rights or for women's rights.
Okay. So it means it also plays a huge role on the mental health.
So this one is not just about women. We're using women here to justify this very case, this scenario. But what you're making us understand is, generally speaking, it is good that, okay, you get the chance to have such a moment when naturally you need it, but when you return, it shouldn't be like, well, some punishment.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, some people also take advantage of it.
Of course.
Yes, some people take advantage of it. They always want to take advantage. And when an employer discovers that this is the kind of thing that is happening,
he should be bitter.
Yes, you won't like it.
Yes, taking advantage. I think you cannot tell lies so many times without being being caught. Yes. So if there is an employee who is constantly asking for permission and all that, there is suspicion. But it also does not mean that you must see someone dying before you believe that there's something wrong with that person. So if an employee complains of a particular, let's say, health issue, and you see the person is still looking good, that's not a reason for you to object or to doubt.
Okay,
for the benefit of
in-depth investigation.
For the benefit of doubt, give that person the permission to go to wherever is the hospital for consultation, and the person can justify with the hospital records. And again, some people will fake even hospital issues, but if it is recurrent, it cannot last for too long. But to reject someone's permission, especially for health issues, because you doubt how authentic the person's complaint is, I think it's a big error if actually that person is suffering. Because the next day, the person might be no more, and I mean, you'll
find yourself guilty. Well, okay. Well, I think we've learned a lot today when it comes to mental health and workplace and relationship, women, all those things, all those stuffs.
I think I have learned quite a handful, considering the fact that before the program, I just knew that because he had said that it is important to take into consideration one's mental health with regards to work. I just said, okay, and I thought that we've been discussing about it before the program, and I knew very much. But in the course of the talk and then the questions and all, it kind of feels like we need some rebranding, even in our own mental scope there, mental space. You need to know what it obtains to you as a person, as a worker, and then you know how to maneuver yourself throughout work, and then be able to organize yourself such that
organize yourself better.
Your role that you're playing as a worker also it pertains. I don't know. Such programs at times are so insightful that you maybe don't want them to end,
but there you end.
But every good thing.
But before we leave, Seraphine, you will tell us, or you give us your last word, or maybe advice or a take-by-home message for companies, administrators, employers, and employees. What advice would you give an employer when it comes to mental health issue in the workplace, and what advice would you give employees on how to take care of their mental health and the relationship? Just in a few minutes, just give us your last word.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to say that in real life, just take a look at yourself. Sometimes the mental health issue is not all about something negative or people who are suffering. Even stars, even very big people in top-ranking positions who are managing so many things, they also experience mental health issues, especially those at work. So what is most important is for you to understand or to be aware of what mental health is all about and how it is affects your whole physical health as well as your relationship with other people. So when you have that understanding, you have to put strategies in place because no one is safe. It concerns just everybody, whether you're wealthy, whether you're poor, and all that. It concerns everyone. So you need those strategies in order to practice self-care and in order to serve as example for others to copy as well as to advocate for mental health, because it is being encouraged that everyone should feel concerned and you support one another. It can be right at the level of your community. It can be at your job site. Just try to support support a fellow colleague. And those are some of the things that we have to adopt in order to keep on managing, and also understand that as far as our work is concerned, the more we divide our employees in order to do better, the more we discriminate, the more we don't encourage hard work, the more we don't create an enabling environment, the more our infrastructures are not being, upgraded, and all of that is going to affect our employees' mental well-being, as well as our productivity and our finances.
There's something that throughout I've been wanting to poke you a little about, considering you're an advocate, a mental health advocate. Whenever you get to maybe an institution, for instance, to talk about mental health, how do people used to receive the news? Because we're not saying here that gone are those days when we used to think that when they're talking about mental health, it's about crazy people. I'll use that word, because most times when you want to bring up that topic, people kind of feel maybe even defensive sometimes. They feel like
somebody has a mental disorder.
Yes, yes. So how are you received?
Yes, for the few places I've gone to, maybe to ask for authorization for 1 or 2 activities, or to create awareness and all that, people they want to get more of what it is.
Okay.
So it means they don't even know what it is. That's when you read their facial expressions and their questions, they're like, but what is this person even talking about? Okay. So there is still so much people need to understand
about mental health
when it comes to mental health issues.
So Linda, you feel free, yeah? But you can talk about it. They will not think that you want to talk about crazy people anyway.
Yeah, so there is that enthusiasm, and I think it will not just come out of blue.
Yeah.
It needs some consistency. It needs some resilience. Even at the job site, you want to talk and you're like, but it's not anything. You just have to keep on, especially for people who already know what it is. You have to keep on trying to get others understand what it is, and that is how we'll keep on, creating a bigger impact. And somehow, someday, we are also going to take mental health issues seriously, like is the case in the Western world. In the Western world, they are very much advanced.
Yeah, they're particular about it
than in Africa. They pay attention to those very, very minute things, and the justice system is there to handle all of that. Let's say you have an injustice somewhere, like in Douala here, we have a lot of double selling of plots, and some people invest into that, and tomorrow you don't have anywhere to go and complain, because you can complain, the other person has more money, is going to. But in the Western world, you see that when people have such issues, they have confidence in the justice system. When they get the issue is somehow
sorted out amicably.
And that goes a long way to help their mental health. I've actually come across such a case that the person is devastated, and they had to do a psychological analysis in order to evaluate the person's mental health, so that they can send the feedback and handle the person's situation. And it actually resulted from the loss of the land. So it's a multi-sectoral issue, and we need to just keep on convincing. We have to convince just all sectors.
Yeah, that are responsible, all stakeholders included.
Yeah, all sectors.
Okay.
So that's great, because in Africa, organizations, let me say companies, they pay less attention when it comes to mental health. Meanwhile, in the Western world, you see so many companies, and then they will always refer you to go to meet a psychologists, like some of them, they have psychologists in the workplace, so that if in case maybe you lost your loved one, they will ask you to first of all meet the psychologist, and then the psychologist is going to give a go ahead that okay, you're ready to go back to work. But here, even if you lose someone, you come back the next day, say okay, you're back here, So those are the kind of things that play. I think we should take this mental health thing very serious in Africa.
Like you say, maybe you only see that in movies, and you keep hearing, "Are you sure you're able to work it? Are you sure?" Well, there.
Are you sure you're okay? Do you still need time to?
Yeah, those are the details.
Oh, thank you so very much.
Important.
We would always want to consult you because we need these lectures on a daily basis. It's very important, and we want to really thank you for making it possible for us to have this amazing moment today.
Pleasure. The pleasure is all mine.
All right.
I feel like I need to sit back and then watch again to learn better. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a wonderful day today. I have gotten to learn so much. I have learned about tender loving care, TLC, that we need to love each other, like regardless whatever precious Linda here does to me, I will still try to, you know.
You just have to bear with me.
I just have to bear with you. So you have last words, of course.
No, everything has already been said, and we really appreciate it if you guys will watch and then you give us your comments maybe on our Facebook page and tell us maybe you've learned something or maybe you want to contribute in something. And if for those who missed it out this edition, you can catch up on Monday at 2:30 p.m. Meantime, stay blessed, bye-bye, and we'll meet you guys next week for another edition.
Looking forward to that. And if you have proposals on topics you're interested in us talking about, we're here very open to discussion. So have a pleasant time. And like Linda told you, you have another episode to watch if you missed. Bye-bye.